No, I'm actually late. I got a late start today. Going well. Just getting myself organized. And how you been? Getting through. We've had hurricanes over here where I am. Yeah. But it wasn't really that bad. Some flooding and stuff. Some mudslides here and there. Yeah, it really did. It didn't hit us too bad. It just came in like as a big storm, basically. It wasn't like even a hurricane by then. Well, hey, Riot. Okay, let me get in here. Hold on. Let me get this where's my here we go. Okay. So all right. So Riot, hang on. I'm going to do this. You're right in there. You're right in there, Riot. Okay. So hang on. Let me have a quick. I'm gorging on my yogurt. Yeah. May the readings be with you. All right, let's get cracking with this. Okay, so Riot, what you're sort of dealing with right now is, that. Thank you. So we're talking about exes, something everybody knows a lot about. And we all wonder about exes and whether they come back or, what's funny about exes. I've done this. We do the imaginary conversations, right? Like I've done that since I was in my 20s. The imaginary since I was 15. The imaginary conversation that's very intense and dramatic and where you actually say everything really well and you express yourself perfectly and profound, the deepest emotion and your deep feelings. And you make things so obvious to the person in your imaginary conversation that they really can't help but see your point of view and in fact fall in love with you all over again and come back, right? That happens a lot in our heads. And it goes around and around and around, and it can last for a long, long time. It can even last many, many years past when you break up. You could even be with someone else. You could even be on your third or fourth relationship. You could be married, happily married for 10 years, and you still will go back to that ex. You will still have those imaginary conversations in your head, because you're always trying to work things out, right? We always try to work things out underneath. And so the tarot is one of those really great little tools for, excuse my shuffle, for, giving us, I don't know, I guess it's a perspective on those things, those wonderings that keep going on and on. It's a nightmare. She seems different, though normally I wouldn't worry, but I worry. Feel like she's a twin flame or something. Well, yeah, and we feel that about certain people. That happens. So, let's just start shuffling the cards, and keep in mind this whole sort of feeling that we get about exes. This is something we all sort of share in, right? We all know this. All right. Now, let's see what our top. All right. Right away, we're talking about ex relationship, but really the tarot reading is for you. The tarot is speaking directly to you. Its message is only being heard by us here, not your ex, not an old ex of mine. There's only we are here for whatever the tarot has to give us. And so the tarot is going to speak to us, and primarily to you. The Empress resonates in all relationships or in all personalities as a healthy, nurturing, growing, encouraging force. She is fertile in every way. She's fertile physically, she's fertile imaginatively, she's fertile emotionally, intellectually. Everything that the Empress, and we're talking about Empress in the sense of a kind of an energy which is equally owned by female and male. The cards don't really designate this is for a woman and this is for a man. They designate energy types, okay? And so a man can possess the Empress just as easily as a woman can. You see? So that energy is very fertile. It's lush. It's full of life. It's full of life and healthful growing. Everything about the Empress is trying to encourage and lift up and make better and more whole. She's just a life energy. And so if you get that card in the primary upper position, in the middle of the entire idea of the reading, then that means the tarot wants you to think about what it is in you and what it is about this relationship, the aspects of it, whether it's in the past or whatever it is. What parts of it make you feel better, make you feel more like a healthy, growing person? And what did you enjoy that made you feel larger? That it lifts you up. It boosts you. So and you have that power in you is what the tarot always suggests. That this is not just a result of a relationship. You're a dynamic with someone else. That was there or is there, but it's primarily talking about accessing these things in you. And so it wants you to be aware of this incredible nurturing spirit that it seems to have been pinpointing in this circumstance with you, in fact. So keep your eye on that. Let's move on now to something underneath. Okay, King of Swords. And he's reversed, but the King of Swords, it's very, especially when you're talking about X, and we were just talking about the mind going around and around, imaginary conversations. What could I have said? What could I say? Oh my gosh, if she would just give me the chance to say this, then this thing will cut through and make it clear exactly who I am to this person. And the king is a master of that, right? The king can find the right words, find the right ideas, present the thoughts so beautifully, so eloquently that they can win foreign invading armies over to his side. But he's reversed here. And so what the cards are really saying is, no. All this stuff winding around in your head, these thought bubbles, these thought circles spinning, these repetitive conversations you imagine. Let's let that kind of sink away for now. That's taking a lot of energy. It requires a lot of battery power to keep that stuff going, right? And so this is sort of like saying, no, that's not really required. The fine-tuned operations of your brain right now are not really the important thing. Now let's look over here. What's coming up? Something to really focus on. Something to look forward to. It's coming toward you. Well, what do you see here? But the 8 of Cups. Cups, those are the big feelings. Those are the heart of you bursting, and you have an 8, which is this incredible symbol of huge potential. Also, enormous work. You have to put the work in. You have to you have to go through the feelings. You have to wonder what these feelings are. You have to get more sort of conscious of what these feelings are, how you are reacting to things. You have to be able to observe your reactions. The 8 is very much about sort of being a craftsperson of the heart, of working at your emotional life and your feelings, thinking about your feelings, putting a little of this sword energy to work to think about these feelings, but really to experience them fully, but to understand that the 8 implies infinite potential, but also balance. And so the emotions don't swing wildly when you have the 8. The emotions in the 8 are very, very fluid and balanced. Think about the number 8 and how it's drawn. It's a very, it's that very balanced shape. And so but also the shape for infinity, the symbol. And so you keep those two things in mind floating around, balance and infinity, and all of this energy in the 8 that kind of takes the balance of the 2 4s, the 2 stable 4s, and it swings them around, and it's an enormous potential energy going on there. So it's like this number of great possibility, and there's something coming from it as you keep working and feeling your emotions and getting, it's a way of saying getting more in touch with your heart and what you really feel. Let your heart live. Let your emotions live. Now, that advice of the cards could be pointing in different directions. It could be saying, well, okay, so this bursting heart with infinite potential could have something to do with your ex, or it could be suggesting, no, move away from your ex and live and experience your feelings now. Usually when people, good evening, Jaff. Usually when people break up, what I have found, when they break up, when they leave, they're gone because they broke up. If they leave, they're gone. They don't actually tend to come back. Sometimes people, yes, and sometimes there are those rebounds and stuff. But typically, it's been my experience statistically that when people go, they go because they want to go. And if they want to go, they go. It's like, and whatever my brain does about that leaving is my problem. It has nothing to do with them because they left. They're gone. So whatever I'm doing here, blah, 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 spinning around with fake conversations in my head about expressing myself to this person, that's just me. And so the cards could be saying, listen, these thoughts here that go on and we're all subject to them, they really can be a hindrance. And so maybe don't focus so much on them. That's why it comes in reversed. What the cards want you to focus on, one way or another, is the incredible nurturing energy and the life and the ability to build a home and make everybody feel good that you have in you right here with the Empress. And this part of you, will guide you forward to this very full heart and whole new experiences with your heart where you really are feeling things and you figure out how to balance, intense emotion with also, being able to nurture and being able to protect and care for. You see, that's what this is really suggesting that you focus on. The tarot cards always primarily focus on ourself, not on a third person. They focus on the person right there asking about the cards. And so these are incredibly positive suggestions for you, which do suggest that the thinking may be something that you can afford to at least sort of acknowledge is just its own little thing that happens and is perfectly normal for all of us, and it can be put aside and just sort of, our minds tend to wander and come up with all these dramatic situations when we're after a breakup, and that's just what that is, okay? We all get it. But this big positive growth scenario, in other words, the garden of your heart, the Empress takes care of the garden of the heart over here. And that's what the cards want you to keep your mind, keep that image, the garden of your heart tended by this incredible caretaking spirit of the Empress. This sort of energy, this image is alive in you, is what the cards are giving us. Yukihim. Thank you for the follow, by the way. So Riot, the cards kind of are pushing toward looking at yourself and your enormous potential and what you have in the emotional life, what you have to give and how full it's going to be. Yeah, the thinking thing. But you know what? Here's the thing about the thinking thing. Don't feel bad about it. As I said, I do it. It's fun sometimes. You get obsessed. We get obsessed about things because we enjoy them. And we wind these thoughts around in our heads forever and ever and ever. And because it does something for us, obviously, or we wouldn't do it. But the cards are saying, hey, you know what? That's understood, and we don't have to dwell on it. Yeah, you don't. You don't need a girlfriend. Nobody needs a girlfriend or a boyfriend to feel incredibly rich. We always think we do when we're 20. I did. I mean, I remember I actually had somebody lean over and say to me, can I just say one thing? Not everything is about women, you know. And I was like, oh. Really? People are I was stupid. I was just stupid. I didn't get it because it's normal to be stupid about these things. So I hope that helps in some small way. It's just, but keep this image. This is the image for you. This is the image for you. And as I said, remember, guys, women, men, women, whatever, everything, every gender. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Anything and all the shades in between. You can have the Empress in you as part of your dynamic. We all share these tarot archetypes equally among us. Oh, ex-Grinchy, I'm telling you, the RIP RP thing you just mentioned. Thank you for bringing that up, because I've been working a long time on that stupid thing. And, I don't have anybody in there. I've just been making this thing, making it. And I put a Discord together, but I'm waiting for people to come along who say, okay, yeah, you know what? Let's go in and mess around in here, and we'll see what things need to be adjusted, what's not right yet, what needs to, here are some suggestions. And they get in and they start playing and they role play together. I'm always hoping for someone to bring some friends in, and they just sort of, and then they start saying stuff. They'll say, hey, listen, Cymaction, here. Can you do this? You did this, adjust this, the prices in the general store for the milk are too low, stuff like that. And then everything sort of starts to build. And, but I'm waiting for that to happen. Eventually, maybe it will. But sure, go in and mess around, and then go to the Discord, jump on the server, whatever you want. And if you have any problems, just tell me in the Discord. Just start a ticket and say, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And I'll just say, I'll fix it. Okay. So, my little dessert, man, that yogurt stuff. Ooh, it's good. Okay. All right. Yukahim, you are up. And I see Jaff is in there next. Blue Moss Dragonite. Whoa. That sounds like a name that could come from a really cool RPG. All right. Yukahim, you go. You tell me what it is that you require from this tarot deck, and we're going to talk to it. Present. All present raise their hands and say, here. Yeah, Blue Moss Dragonite. Wow, that's cool. All right, let's see. We got cards. Cards going. Okay, Yukahim. Anything specific? Why the guy I love is avoiding me and not talking to me. All right. Well, the cards will speak to you. Now, they speak directly to you. They speak of you. They talk to you directly. And the top card will be, it's more or less like, what is the signal we see coming from the mountain. That's the top one. And then we have a more subtle impression under the surface here. And then a more visible, glaring message to focus on as we move forward. Okay, the Knight of Cups, reversed. The Knight of Cups can be a bit impetuous, a bit impulsive, a bit forceful about their feelings, about their love. They can push. They can say, I need this, I need that, I want this person, I'm going after them. And the tarot here is saying, no, that's not really what's appropriate here. Slow the horse down, pull the reins. That's like the expression, whoa, it's slow it down and let's take a gentle approach. Let's let time pass, because the matters of the heart sometimes can be damaged by impulsive forward motion. All right. That's a big signal here. Sometimes, I was once given advice by someone who was on the phone with me after a breakup and said, if you want her, the best way of getting her is to let her go. And so I was like, okay, that's a really good advice. Actually, I totally get what this person is saying about this particular other person. And in fact, yeah. And so sometimes it pays to just go, oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. Go. Hey, go around the world, whatever. Whenever you're ready to turn around and, if you ever do, I'll be willing to talk. That kind of attitude sometimes is incredibly powerful. We don't think so in the moment. It's very hard to say, just go. But that's what this card is kind of saying. Don't chase. Now under here, the 5 of Wands. 5 is a jostling number. 5 is a number of some kind of other thing coming in and destabilizing everything. And it has to do with our desire, our passion. If we're talking about relationship here, even a former relationship, it's the instinct to be with a person. Okay, the fire energy, and that kind of upset, that turmoil that's always going on, except this is reversed. And so it's leaning more toward being stable and quiet. So you've got 2 cards here in 2 realms, the emotional and the more sort of passionate, saying, and creative, saying, hey, action and upset at this time are actually not the best thing. Let's try and settle things down. Things need to become a little bit more calm. And then coming up, what do we see but one of the major symbols for coupling in the entire tarot, which is the 2 of Cups. And it's showing in all its glory. So there's something in this dynamic that you are curious about that does indicate feelings of 2 coming closer together. Some kind of understanding, at least, is what the cards are suggesting you look out for. In other words, not look out to avoid, but look out for as a positive thing. That you may find that by going slow, reining in your horse, cooling the jets, and not being too persistent, too aggressive, too pursuing, but easing back and biding your own time, being yourself. You let the bird fly in order for the bird to have freedom, because only when something is free can it actually make a real choice. It has to, want to make its own choice. So if a person leaves a relationship we're in, they have to, you can't compel them to come back. You can't convince them to either. There's nothing you can really say that's going to say, oh, yes, well, oh, right. If you're actually, able to keep this kind of a job and do this, and of course I should change my mind. It's obvious. Well, that's not really how it works. They have to turn around and decide for themselves that there's something that they really, really think is a compelling reason for them to change their mind. They have to do it all by themselves. And if this is allowed to be with this calm sort of quietude of mind, let's say, then there's very great potential for coupling. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's with your ex. The tarot's talking to you and you alone. The tarot doesn't really concern itself with third persons. This coupling could be something that happens for you in another direction. But the tarot wants you to see this image of coupling, of the joining of hearts, the understanding of hearts. That's the primary message. This is the card for this reading. The primary message. Basically, the two hearts coming together and creating almost a fountain of joy, essentially. Time and being patient in these things is always the best thing. Always. There's almost never been a scenario in human history where there's been a breakup and it would have been advisable for one or the other to go running after the person who left. There really isn't. You may see that in movies, but as I said before, when people leave, they leave because they want to leave. And only they can decide that they don't want to leave. And you see what I mean? So what the tarot is saying is very wise. Don't pursue. Don't express incredibly aggressive, upsetting passion. Take it calmly and just wait till you see what happens. The heart then begins to find its balance here. And Jaff, I see you there. You're up. Never been in a relationship. I have mutual feelings. Yeah, I mean, that happens, that happens. And mutual feelings, things can be really simple. They can be really complicated. It's all over the map. But usually taking a sort of go slow approach really can't. It's hard for that to be a wrong choice. And Jaff, you can just say what you would like for these tarot cards to know. And lo and behold, they will respond. You've been having some trouble landing a job, and it's starting to get on my nerves. Can I expect any improvements in my scene sometime in the next 30 days? Like, first card confirms what's holding up. Second says yes or no to the 30 days. Third says something about my time working there. Well, the tarot doesn't really want to be too specific about time. The tarot is going to give you its suggestion. You're having trouble landing a job. It's upsetting, I know. You want improvement. You want it soon. Because of course jobs have, we have to make money and we have time limits. And you want to know what's supporting you and what's just not. Okay, let's here we go. There's a prime. There's a subtle. All right. You need a job. You're having problems. It's getting on your nerves. You pull a 2 of wands right at the top. The wands are, you want the job. You have a desire, you have a need, you have a desire. You also have things that you can give in a job. There are things about yourself that you have to offer. These creative talents, these skills, the energy in you to make is strong, and that's what the tarot here is focusing on. That's the primary thing. Attaching yourself to that is key here, and it could in fact be the key to shortening the time to get a response, to get something going. The 2 is the kind of putting together of ideas, the planning, and that has to be done. It has to be solid. You have to be you have to have a mindset of putting your plans together, getting your ducks in a row, basically. But the focus is on the part of you that is the drive to do a certain thing. And the tarot wants you to know what that is. What is the thing that you wish to do? Which job makes you feel kind of inspired to do its stuff? Regardless of what the pay is. The tarot wants to go, no, I don't care about timing. I don't care about pay. I'm talking about how a particular kind of work makes you feel creatively. That's the one where you will get the most response. It's saying the solution to the problem really is in, primarily, your attitude about how a certain kind of work makes you kind of feel lighter. All right? Now, underneath everything, we've got a 5 of swords. Again, the 5 is upsetting. The 5 is difficult, but it's full of potential. It just makes us uncomfortable in the moment. But it's like, wow, new idea. Oh, so the tarot is saying here, look, find the new idea. There's something maybe you've missed, but let that new idea come in. Let the new possible thing that might make you scared, give it play. Give it its moment, because that could be key. And it could, if it falls under what excites you, it's got to excite you. Otherwise, this tarot reading is going to be like, If you want to just go and, do a job where you don't give a damn about any of it at all, that's a whole other thing. But the tarot here is saying, no. This, if you really want to do the work, that's going to be important. And so it wants you also to think about and know that this isn't all that, in your terms, what's supported. This is what's supporting. And it is the willingness and ability to look at things from a whole new perspective, get new ideas about how to do certain things or where to apply or who to talk to. The new unexpected things that maybe have seemed stupid in the past might be something worth looking at here. Okay? And then coming up, wow, another mental image. But it's also communication and conflict. The sword, after all, the sword cards, everybody talks all the time about the swords being thought. The swords are air. They're about thinking. Really? When was the last time you saw a guy with a sword doing much thinking? The last time I saw a guy with the sword, he was cutting somebody's leg off. Right? So the sword is also about dealing with conflict. It's about war. It's about fighting. It's about power. But we tend to also use our intellect, and we tend to sort of think our way into power, right? We solve arguments intellectually and verbally. And so that kind of makes sense that the swords have this language, idea, mental, intellectual quality about them. But here you have the page. And so the page is young and enthusiastic, but also not quite ready. He's learning, he or she, learning. Still doesn't know which end is up yet. But that's what the cards are saying here is, what is it that makes you excited? Which job application excites you the most? Focus there. Put your vision there. What new ideas have occurred to you lately? Or what new possible roads could you take to make yourself more appealing to a certain kind of employer? Or what skill that maybe you're forgetting that you could throw into the mix and mention? Something different about there's a different idea here it wants you to look at. And then over here, coming up, it's basically saying, and don't worry about being new, and don't worry about all this chaos and confusion. Don't worry about not being able to get something right away, because that's where you are right now. You're learning, and keep your enthusiasm up, no matter, even if it takes 60 days or 90 days. Keep this guy in mind, the enthusiasm, the ability to say, okay, you know what, even though I don't know everything I need to know, and I tried a new idea and it didn't work because I don't really know how to handle everything yet. I don't know how to express it that well yet, but I'm learning, and I'm learning fast. So the tarot here basically saying, find what makes you excited. Let the new ideas come, give them space, let them work in you. And don't be afraid of being brand new and not getting there when you think you should, because the page never gets there when he thinks he should. It takes time to develop. Enthusiastically looking for a new idea with a new perspective. Yeah. And to, when we start thinking that way, rather than in sort of, when our emergency brain is on, we're not as attractive to an employer. Many actors say that when they audition, whenever they don't really care about the job or don't need the job, that's when they get it. Well, the reason for that is because people watching actors can sense desperation like a dog can sniff, food on the wind. They can just sniff it out. And nobody wants to hire a desperate actor. They just don't. It goes against human nature. You always want to hire the actor who doesn't give a shit. Right? That's always the one that gets the job. So when you're just focused on what makes you excited, when you're letting new things come in, and you're allowing yourself to not worry, like this person here, to not worry, not get all wound up in worries, because there's so much to learn. Then you start to function better and you become more attractive, even in the simplest environment of an interview. Right. The more desperate you are, the farther away from your goal you actually appear to be to others. Yeah. Blue Moss, I see you. You are now in the queue. Yes, Jaff, always a pleasure. And look, if anything's going to make our brains start winding around and thinking a little desperately, it's needing a job. I mean, we need jobs. It's like you need oxygen. You know, we have to do something, right? So you know, it's a tricky thing. All right, Blue Moss, what do you got? A little baby unicorn there. A little tiny baby unicorn. You pick the topic, Blue Moss. It's your moment. I need a drink. Oh. Anything lemon or lime, man, I love them. Could I have a reading about where my finances are energetically and how I can adjust my energy to attract more? Or it may be a matter of waiting and not being patient about it. Just wait. Just wait. It's bound to come. Just wait and do nothing. It's bound to come. It's like build it and they will come, or something like that. That famous line. All right. So we're talking about money. We all want money. We want things. We want to be comfortable, right? Who doesn't? We all want to be rich. Anybody who says they don't is lying. We all do secretly. But really, you know, if we're just comfortable somehow, if we can get what we need, let's pull that. Oh, all right. Let's have a look here, Blue Moss, and see what we're dealing with. Wow. All right. Well, the Knight of Cups. This is talking now suddenly about the heart. It's moving. It's saying, okay, yeah, I know you want to know about money, but first we need to say something about the heart. And okay, so the Knight, the Cavalier de Coup. The Knight explores. The Knight. So why is the heart showing up when we're talking about money? Well, because money we have feelings about money. We have feelings about when we can't afford things. It affects us emotionally. We get emotionally invested in the idea of ourselves being successful. And so the Knight here is a creature of action and pursues their heart forcefully and aggressively. In other words, the cards are saying, what is it you love? Go for it. Go in that direction. That's the place you want to be heading toward. As difficult as it may be, at least carrying the sort of outlook, the impression of the energy of the night moving forward is what the cards are advising here. Moving towards something that makes you feel good. Identifying that is the key. Identify and move toward without distraction. That's what the night does. And then under here, okay, we see a 9, a big number, reversal, cups, another heart. The 9 underlying all of this pursuit of what it is that makes us feel good. The emotional aspect of this earning a living is tiring. It's exhausting. It gets us, it feels like whatever we do, it never quite works. And so we just get more and more frustrated, and the heart feels more and more kind of defeated. And that's kind of the injury of the reversal of the 9. It's the 9 also implies all of this accumulation of ability because we've learned so much in the process up to now. But the exhaustion is what the reversal here is really talking to us about, and how difficult it can feel trying to get somewhere. Yeah, capitalism. It's rough, and it can really emotionally just kill us because we start to get down on ourselves and feel like we're not worth a certain amount because we're not getting it, right? Now, the cards, wow, you've got an entire heart reading. But it's the 4, and it's not reversed. And so that is, you find it. You find what makes you feel full, what makes you feel good. You find something that makes you feel emotionally like the battle has been worth it in the end. In other words, you find a place where your heart feels at home. And since we're talking about finances, this is an indirect way that the tarot is saying. The tarot is not looking at the money. If it were, it would be talking about the pentacles, the coins. It's talking about how your emotional life, what path that takes through this problem. And by pursuing what it is you identify as something that makes you feel good, and following that alone, you kind of absolve yourself of all this pain that has been here before, that's underneath now, that's in you. And you find a place where you feel at home and safe and comfortable, and your heart is now able to enjoy how you're making your living. Okay, so the tarot is indirectly talking about your finances from the point of view of your emotions and how it's all making you feel. And you end up with a very positive and very sort of secure, comfortable heart. Right? Right. The universe doesn't care about money. The universe doesn't need any money. Although if it didn't need money, it wouldn't make money. It wouldn't have created it in the first place. That's another way of looking at it philosophically. Although you could say that about anything. Philosophy is a very tricky little bag of tricks to get into. You can, for almost every statement in any philosophy, there's a counter-statement. And that, in and of itself, is a philosophy. You're very welcome. Yes, this kind of thing with the heart, totally ongoing for everybody. And it doesn't mean anything is damaged or anything. It's just talking about how these things make us feel. I mean, they just do. They make us feel worn down. They make us feel kind of bad, and we start to associate ourselves with money and at some point, if you find that Four of Cups as kind of a life situation, that could be all anyone needs, frankly. If you find that, it's almost hard to think about needing anything else. A stable, comfortable feeling of joy is what the Four of Cups is all about. I always, with the hearts, unless, anytime a four shows up, it tends to signify stability. And so if you're talking about cups, then a stability, you're not going to feel great stability if you're talking about anger. It's not going to really be associated with stability. If you're talking about a kind of joy and comfort, and then of course the cups then most likely represent a positive kind of emotion. These things, because the heart encompasses all sorts of emotions, not just joy and love, but you sort of have to look at tarot with this flexible eye to what it's doing in the moment, whether or not the cups are referring to some kind of negative emotion or a positive one. Good lemon. Man, I can go through 3 of these in an hour. Anything citrusy I tend to like for these flavored water things. You had to embrace sadness and rage the past couple of weeks and getting comfortable with that. Well, yeah, I mean, look, we all feel those, right? And I mean, it's just part of getting through. And I don't want to say the week, but it's just part of getting through life. Yeah, citrus. I also like the cherry. Cherry, what is it? Bubbly. I like those. Yeah. Savory foods. Oh, yeah. Well, I actually, I've recently been making a lot of salads, like a bunch of stuff in a big bowl with like avocado and feta cheese and different kinds of lettuce. I put sometimes, chia seeds in there. Sometimes I even add tuna fish. Actually, I should make, I use ground turkey, and I'll cook that in a pan and then put ground turkey into like a big salad format. That often works really well. Yeah, avocado, but you know what? Avocados are so hard to pick right. Man, you go to the market, you think you're getting the right avocados, and then it's like half the avocados all like the next day. Like they feel okay in the market the day you're there. And then the next day you're like, wait a second. There's like a big hole in this. My finger goes into the damn thing. It's like, it happens to me all the time. I'm always like, oh no. Oh my God, I got to throw this avocado away. So I'll get 3 avocados and I'll end up only being able to use 1. Yeah, they start dying like boom. There's it's the word. Bananas are another one. You know, you buy a bunch of bananas and you better eat those things fast. I like bananas up until they have maybe like 5 spots on them. And then like, then it's like done. Oh, there was a trick I read. I think it works because I tried it. When you buy those plastic bins of salad, like mixed greens, you know, you put a piece of paper towel inside with the lettuce in the fridge. And the paper towel apparently absorbs some of the excess moisture, so the salad doesn't get all like squishy as fast. Yeah, potatoes. Yeah, they become little aliens. Little aliens with tiny little feet. Yeah, it makes sense. It just takes some of the moisture away, so it keeps the lettuce leaves a little crisper. I tried it a couple times, and it seems to work. I'm not a really great judge, but I have to say, I think that the bin of salad lasted a few days longer. Yeah. I get usually that stuff they call baby spring mix from the market. So that's what I'm talking about. Oh. Yeah, you should try it. I'm not. Look, I don't give good kitchen advice. Oh yeah. Well, I should probably go to Whole Foods more. I don't know. I keep getting lazy, and I go to like Ralph's. Jacoby, hi. How are you? I'm good. I'm good on my end, and we have folks in here that are having got some good ideas going. We're actually at the moment talking about lettuce. Lettuce and Whole Foods and Ralph's. Baby spinach and arugula. Yeah, those are really good for you too. Yeah, big time lettuce. I've been making. I just get a big bowl and I just dump stuff in. I make it up as I go along, and then I call that dinner. I will sit down and watch something. It's fun to watch like a thriller, some kind of thriller, whatever, a series or something, and have a gigantic salad, maybe with tuna in it. And, you know, that's really all the entertainment I need. Sounds pretty boring, but that's really all I need. I don't need to go to the movies. Oh, they have a market called HEB? Huh. And they have a central market. Okay. Fancy central market where everything's like, it just costs a little bit more. Archaeology YouTube videos. Yeah. Yes. There you go. Hey, yeah, it's funny how with YouTube videos you get on these little like I'll be on a topic kick for a few days where I'm like, I got to find out everything I can. Where's like a good YouTube video about this? And I'll find like, ooh, this person has has like 7 videos about this. It's actually fun. You know, sometimes it's way better than TV. Oh, I see. So it's one market business with 2 versions. Yeah. Okay. It's like their standard and premium line. The Y files. Right. Some channels you can't remember why you even were there. I have to admit, I do like watching people talk about certain kinds of games. I do like some sort of game analysis videos. I find them interesting. I don't really even know why. It's bizarre. Yeah, video games. Yeah. Certain kinds of it, not all video games. And I'm also kind of, I don't know, I'm always disappointed with the state of journalism about video games. I think that a lot of journalists give a free pass to way too many games. Most games really aren't good. They just aren't good, and they wouldn't have ever been considered good 20 years ago. And the people who write about them are way too nice about it. Just vastly too polite to these people making these games. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with being brutal. Because these games are expensive and people are laying out $60 a pop for these things. And not only that, but so they spend $60, but then they put real time in. And if the game just ends up being a real dud, 10 hours in, that's $60 plus 10 hours time that's gone into this game's economy. So I think people who write about games should be much better than they are right now. It's in fact what I sort of feel like is the people writing about the games might as well be working for the game companies. That's basically what's going on. All the game journalists are just employees of the game companies. I'm sorry. They're not employees of the magazine or the newspaper. No. It's obvious. They're employees of the game industry. And that's the thing that I like to see when somebody doesn't have that, like on YouTube, when they're independent and really thinking it through. Then I'm like, ooh, this guy's fascinating. So Morrowind. There you go. Yeah. I mean, and some games, they just evolve. They started out really good, and then they evolve slowly to become more sort of cash oriented because these people want to make more money. And so they can take a really good game and kind of lessen it, Yeah, cash grab, man. That's what they do. Although, I gotta say, this Baldur's Gate 3 ain't no cash grab. They just made the game and they said, here's the game on a big plate. You can play it. It's all yours. Thank you. which never happens these days. So, classic WoW, yeah. Well, I have a vanilla. I have a retail WoW subscription, which I go in and I do once in a while. But I don't know. I found the last, not Dragonflight, the one just before that, whatever it was called. I don't know, man. There's something really confusing about it. I'm always confused by WoW. I never can go like, oh, this is fun. I'm always like, yeah, what does it want me to do with this elixir? What does it want me to do with this mana or whatever? So, Baldur's Gate I've only played like 10 hours so far. It's damn good. Because you feel in Baldur's Gate, the reason people like it is you just feel like you're in a story. You feel like you're experiencing a story that's actually happening and you are suddenly magically in it. That's it. There's nothing really more you need to say about the game. You're in the story. Totally. You might as well have been like born in there. That's how good it is. Oh, really? You have 5 posters of their titles. Yeah, wow. That's great. So you know way more about that company and their games than I ever will. Because I'm like, seriously. I also, just recently, I played Diablo 4. I'm telling you, I got frustrated by some. And they're always saying, oh, it's really fun for newbies for the first 20 hours. And then everybody who's like a really good player gets pissed off after the 20 hours and doesn't like it anymore, and they start to quit. I found it actually not very fun after the first 4 hours and Diablo. And so I was like, wait, there's something I don't like about this game. Something about how it makes you repeat. Well, one of the things is you go into a dungeon and you kill everything. You clear the dungeon out to get to the boss, and you get in and you fight the boss. You lose, and you try to fight the boss maybe 10 times. You lose 10 times, and then you're tired. You have to go to bed, so you log out of the game, and then you come back in the next day. I'm going to go do that boss again, except you can't. You have to start the whole damn dungeon over again, and you have to clear the whole dungeon out again, just to get back to the boss. And I hate that. I don't care what the excuse is in these games. If I got to the boss and then I quit the game, I should have the option to start right back at the boss. And I couldn't find that in Diablo 4. I don't know if I missed something. I don't think you can do it. So I just said, forget it. And I stopped playing. So you say Diablo 4 is terrible. Okay, so I'm probably not mistaken then. I'm probably seeing something about that game that really just doesn't quite work. Oh, really? Content over and over. Yeah. ARPG, literally about running content over and over. Yeah, I just don't see why I should have to clear the dungeon out if I already did it just to get back to the boss because I had to go to sleep the day before. I just think that's bad software design. Forget it being a game. Just look at it as software. If I got from A to L, right? And then when I restart the application, if I can only get back to, D, that doesn't make any sense from a software design perspective. It's not a one and done. It's literally about running dungeons forever. Yeah, it's just not what I expected it to be. Yeah, there are probably people. I mean, but here's the thing though. Why can't it just be an option? I mean, why not say, let certain kind of player say, I want to start back at the boss's place, and let the other kind of player say, no, I want to start at the dungeon entrance place. It's just a button. It's not a story game where you get to a boss and beat them. Yeah. You're sort of exploring the map, trying to open up the entire area. And you're trying to get stuff that makes you better, right? You're trying to get things, I think. To put together a build, right? At high level, I see what you're saying. The same dungeons over and over again. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could see if I went into it with that perspective, maybe I could change my view a bit. It's possible. I think what you're saying is you have to have the right expectation when you go in as to what kind of game you're getting into. I think that's what you're saying. Yeah. You might be right. It could just not be my thing. It's probably because I'm just not experienced enough of a gamer to know that this ARPG thing represents a kind of gaming that I just don't take to. Yeah. I think I see what you're... Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Like, I love doing Fortnite, even though it has a repetitive quality. Like, you might land in the same spot. It's always a different scenario. Every time you land on that island, because you're playing, people are all you never know what people are going to do or where you're going to end up. It's a completely different experience every single time you play it, even if you play it 100 times in a single day. You can make it repetitive if you wish by landing in the same spot every time you start a match, or typically, like, I have a pattern. I'll start in one place. I'll usually land now in Fortnite. This season they have a racetrack for cars. I always land there, and I'll run around the racetrack gathering things, and then I'll move from the racetrack over. There's a gas station nearby with some loot boxes that are really good where you have to have keys to open them. I'll go there. And then from there, so it's those first two things I do almost every match. And then after that gas station, it's a crapshoot which direction I'll have to move in from there. So see, tarot, look, it makes sense to talk about gaming, even when we're doing tarot, because tarot began as a game. So we're off the hook. We can do this. We have permission to talk about games. It's justifiable. I think gaming is good for all of us. If you play a game you really like, I don't know, I can end up like, literally, if I win a Fortnite match, I'm telling you, I'm a goofball, man. I'll be like, whoa, yeah, oh, take that, baby. And I will go like to the kitchen and make myself a cup of coffee, and I'll be like, yeah. I'm a complete idiot. But it makes you feel good, right? You feel like you've done something. You play sports games and some League of Legends. That's a great game, actually. That I've been playing that just a little bit. I have a nephew who kind of led me through it to teach me a little bit. But that's kind of like a chess match in a way. Like it's a chess match of video games. League of Legends is deceptive. It seems simple. And it's always the same map, right? It's exactly the same map. And it's very limited where you can go. It's just like those paths. There's an upper path, there's a middle path, and a lower path, right? And it's like a chessboard of games. Yeah, there's something brilliant about League of Legends, I have to say. Yeah, the intricacies are timing and distance. How you have to choose your moment in Leo. You have to choose when to approach and when to back off. It's really interesting that way. Yeah. Yeah, there are positions. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, that game has like genius design behind it. Seven of Swords. You know, the 7 number, one of the trickiest numbers in tarot. Spiritual, but also action in the world, putting things into action. The deck awaits. Ah, okay. Something has occurred to you. You shove the ghost in front of you out of the line. Man, it's going to be one annoyed ghost. Well, what do you have for this magnificent stack of cards, these 78 characters ready to pontificate? Every single one of these 78 cards has something to say. Tarot question is, how do we continue through activities that have become stale, but you wish to continue? Interesting. How do we? All right. Let's go like this. All right. What a mess I've made here. Okay. And now we get the page of how do we continue? How do we continue through activities that have become stale, but you wish to continue? We do an activity that we love initially. As this fellow does. The valet de coup, the page of cups, follows their heart, is doing something they want to do. They want to explore. They want to learn more, right? They go after it. They set out on the journey to explore. It could be a game. It's something they're doing that they want to do initially. Now, the becoming stale, underlying this idea of doing something because you wanted to do it, it's entertaining, it presents possibility, it makes you feel good. That's what the cup is. You find something, makes you feel good, you start doing it. You find new ideas in it. You find things in it that, or at least you look for. You want things to present you with new ideas. That's what keeps things exciting. That's what keeps them stimulating. If you're doing something that is becoming stale, then you're not finding the new ideas. You're not thinking about anything in a new way. You're thinking the same old routine patterns over and over. You're grinding, like gamers say, right? You're grinding over and over and over. And your brain is just going through series of step 1, 2, and 3 over and over again to get what you need or to complete the task. But it's become stale, as you said. You're not enjoying it this way anymore. Now, what we're looking for, apparently, is tumult, is upheaval of a sense, the expectation of upheaval, the expectation of the surprising development, the twist in the story, the unexpected as represented by the tower. We're looking for the big reveal all the time, something uniquely new. There has to be something new in order to keep our interest. A game knows this. If you don't at least give somebody a new thing to find, they're going to get bored, right? Things get stale when we don't get new. So, what the reading is showing us here is, in general, the pursuit of that good feeling, however we're finding it in whatever activity we're doing, is primary. We know that going in. That's what we want. That's the attitude we want to maintain, is the enthusiastic sense of learning, always learning. So you get in a game and you learn it so well, there's nothing new to learn about. You know it. You know every trick in the book. Of course it's going to start getting stale. Well, we want to somehow keep that learning curve a little steep to keep our interest up. We want new ideas. We want to always be able to find a new way of thinking about it. The tarot may be suggesting here that we find those new ideas. We search for them one way or another. How we approach a task, we can change our ideas about it ourselves. We can step out of what has become sort of routine in our brain and find some new routine to try. But the looking for the kind of upheaval, now this is reversed. And so what that's sort of showing is, the lack of drama, the lack of surprise is the key point here, the key problem, that we have to find surprises somehow in order to keep this, to turn this card up. And in this case, we're looking at this Tower card positively as the kind of surprise development that we need to keep our energy, to keep from getting bored, where this is basically saying, this is very safe and routine. It's The tower's not going to crumble. The lightning's not going to hit. But this is what we're after. We're after the lightning strike, every now and then anyway, in some things. And it could be associated with new ideas here. But all of that kind of looking for those qualities in something, maintain our perspective as the kind of perpetual, enthusiastic, learning person, the new player. We always try to be the new player, basically, to some degree. That's the key philosophy here, I think, the tarot is giving us for this very interesting question. Hi, Theatine. How you doing? Oh, yes, I see you're in the queue. So, yeah, right. Yeah, no, you're not going to die next week. That is not what the tower is telling you. But yeah, so we have to find this drama. We have to search. We have to actively look for it. That's what this message is. Even if the task has become, or the activity has become stale, the tarot wants us to continue to look for these things. That looking in itself will alleviate the sense of staleness. It's the tower, man. I know. Apparently, the tower is one of the most popular cards in tarot for the most people. Theatine, it's your turn, and you can inquire of the tarot as you please. Practice activity as a newcomer every time you approach it. Yep, that's a sound philosophy. That fits with that reading. Yeah. There's nothing worse than the grizzled old expert, right? Ugh. Who wants the damn old wise man sitting in the cave? Come on. It's like, whatever. Okay, Theatine. My question is my situation going to get better with the people I'm living with? Or should I maybe look for new places? All right, the tarot will address you momentarily. And all right. So our primary signal, it's like a mountain, okay? And at the top is like our main signal, sort of the primary message the tarot wants us. And down here is a supporting idea that's sort of kind of, under the surface, a little harder to grasp. And then here's something to look forward to coming up. The Fool. All right. The Fool, basically, the Fool is a way of being that first of all, if you're looking for new places, the Fool kind of goes off and does, in fact, go to new places. So the Fool begins a trip. The Fool leaves where he is at the moment. He voyages off. But the attitude of the Fool is kind of like, come what comes. I'm going to enjoy the trip. I'm on an adventure. I'm not particularly worried about the chaos and danger that may await me. I have this companion here with me, whether or not I realize he's my companion. He's there, this dog here, who may or may not be bothering me. The fact is, he's along with me. He's in the card. He's with me, or she. And the idea of being sort of self-sufficient and moving through a journey of learning. The Fool has a lot in common with the Page cards, enthusiastic learning, but the Fool is going on a voyage. The Fool is on a lengthy trip. That's why the Fool packs and brings along some supplies and a walking stick. The Fool is on a trip. He's leaving one thing and he's moving towards something unknown. But he does it with this kind of joyful, easy quality. The Fool isn't planning and plotting and worrying all day long about what he should bring or what's, whether or not he'll encounter bandits on the road or whatever. The Fool is very much happy with the world and themselves and is willing to just go and explore. Exploration. Enjoyment of the process of becoming something, of growing. Growth, great growth in the Fool, great potential. It's the start of the tarot. It's the beginning of the journey through the development of the self. There's a lot to learn for the Fool. The Fool is kind of expressing there's a youthful quality to the Fool's mind. So that's the primary thing about the reading. And then under the balance, justice, something unfair, because this card is upside down. So justice is about being fair, being just, being balanced, being real, taking things in a measured way, understanding. And something is off there. There's an unfair something. So the Fool may be leaving a situation that there's something that isn't fair about it. There's something is unbalanced about it and makes the Fool perhaps has felt uncomfortable. Now, coming up, you've got 10 of Wands, and that's a big, pursue your instinct, pursue your desire, pursue what it is you want. It's been a long time coming. It's been a hard process to find it. Leaves you very tired and exhausted. So the Fool's journey can be tiring. There can be difficulties. But the fact is that the creative energies released by taking the journey, taking the trip, making the movement of the Fool implies motion. The Fool is a motion, is the start of movement towards something new and unknown. And as you go in that direction, the cards want you to be aware of your creative powers, your creative energies, what you really want. And finding that to its fullest is primary. Find what it is you want, what inspires you is what that 10 is about. No matter how tiring and difficult it is, the Fool wants to move toward what winds up truly inspiring the Fool. Okay? And moving away from what seems to be a rather unbalanced, unfair, I don't know if it's a situation or there's some idea that has perhaps been presented unfairly, that doesn't sit well. Well, we're not really talking about a significant other in this reading. We're talking about a current circumstance and whether or not, moving away from that is good. And the cards are saying, look, movement in life, if approached in this healthy sort of sense of this is part of my learning, as expressed by the Fool, is usually part of our development, right? It's a healthy thing. And moving away from something that seems unbalanced somehow is probably a sign of health and strength and moving toward what it is we wish to be or to create. What our instincts tell us we want to be is, it's kind of an easy choice to make. Error's word, good evening. So Theatine, that is a message of trusting yourself, enjoying the journey, learning, not putting up with unfair circumstances, and finding what it is that you really, really have a real instinct to accomplish. And the fool doesn't dwell on what he's leaving. He doesn't, once he goes, that's no longer part of his, what's back there is back there. What's coming ahead for me and this dog along with me, that's all I care about. That's what the fool is. When the fool tosses banana peels over his shoulder, never looks back at them. It's very good to keep the fool in mind. It helps in many, 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 many situations because it gives you that quality of how water just rolls off a duck's back. The unfairness of the upside down justice card, the quibbles and arguments people get into, they roll right off. They don't slow you down, they don't stop you. You just sail right through them kind of with this, yeah, okay, whatever. See ya. I have things to do. I have things I want to be. That's where I'm going. That's what the fool is. It's a good card to keep in your pocket. For sure. Things, unfair things happen every day to all of us. And if we keep some quality of the fool in mind, just to help us get through those things, it gives us a more sort of balanced reaction to things. We can react to things more like, okay, it's all right. That's okay, At times, that's very valuable. That's not to say that that kind of reaction is always appropriate, Well, different, who knows, different situations are different. If you're in the military, they can react very harshly to very, very, very little, small, tiny things. It's all part of training sometimes. It all depends on the scenario and what you're trying to accomplish, what you're doing. Very good evening of tarot. We've had some very interesting results. I mean, the tarot always has something interesting to say. It's amazing. That's the magic of it. That's why people say it's magic. So I'm going to wind it down now, I think, because I'm going to go have another yogurt. Oh, well, I mean, look, anything done. Yeah. I mean, unfair things. Look, here's another interesting aspect about the tarot. The tarot, it shows the Fool card in your situation, right? That doesn't necessarily mean the tarot is saying react like a fool and respond like a fool, or respond with pure happy-go-lucky attitudes and just, it doesn't really mean that, because you can react and defend your own circumstance. You can stand up for yourself appropriately in a situation as a person should. But you can also have internally, you can have a mindset that includes that aspect of the Fool that sort of keeps you in a state of, what do they call it? It's like a self-centered, you're centered, not self-centered selfishly, but you're centered, and you're not thrown out of whack easily. Even if something's very unfair, the Fool card, the Fool never lets it get to him to the point where it unbalances him or her, where it throws them and diminishes their personality or makes them behave poorly. The Fool doesn't let it do that, because the Fool has bigger things, more important, joyful things to ultimately concern themselves with. You see, it's that approach to reacting, and it's that approach to life where you look at the Fool card and it always points toward health, balance, enjoyment. How does one enjoy being here? How does one enjoy all the experiences ultimately one has? Because you notice how people go through life and they'll experience some huge drama with all these negative things happening. And then 2 years later, they're at a dinner party and they start talking about, remember that time when I went and I bought the TV, okay? And I had the TV and I was carrying it up the stairs and oh my God, and the whole box broke and the TV went crashing down the stairs and it almost killed our next door neighbor's cat. Remember that? And then it rolled out into the street and like a car came by and 2 cars had a collision. Remember that? And then the drivers got out and they were like, oh my God, your TV made the crash. Oh my God, you idiot. And then you got in a big argument and the TV was ruined and we tried to take it back the next day and we couldn't get a refund because we threw it down the steps. And everybody's laughing at the dinner and you're laughing, right? At the time, it was like a horrible, you were like screaming and yelling and it was horrible. But 2 years later, you're telling the story and you're laughing like it's a really cool story, right? Well, that's where the Fool card comes in, because the Fool is the guy, it's that part of the personality that travels through and experiences all these things, even as negative as and dramatic as they might be, but always maintains a sense that this is the story. This is all stuff that is actually helping me ultimately to become something. And I'm going to tell this story at the next little inn that I come to on this long road. I'm going to tell the story and everybody's going to be laughing. That's what the Fool's sensibility is. See what I mean? So, yeah, the reading might be very dead on the money. It's all about how how you react to a reading, what it makes you feel. Like if it inspires you in some way, then the reading has done something, you know. Not every reading is going to necessarily connect to the same degree to every questioner. You know, that's how stories and images work. But if you find something in what has come out of that reading with the Fool card, then that's plenty. All right, so I'm going to wrap things up now because I have to run. It's been really great with everybody. You know what I'm going to do? Let's find someone. If you guys want, let's go and let's do a raid and send you to one of these other cool tarot folks there are people doing this right now. So let me see who's doing it. We've got, here's someone. Shamanic Awakening is doing tarot. Tarot lady in a church. I think I sent people there once. Let's do tarot lady in a church. So everybody, thank you, man. Thank you. Night, everybody. I'll be back. I might in fact do it tomorrow. I'm definitely going to do it Wednesday, but I tend to add in an extra here or there. So, but definitely Wednesday. All right. So everybody, you have a great tomorrow and a great this evening. And I'll see you, man. Everybody's been really fun. Again, I'm going to send you off to Tarot Lady in a Church, doing her tarot readings. I'm starting that now. Okay, I think here we go.